that, and here we
Oh,
go.
additionally, just saying,
Shoot.
this is when I'm kind of in the limbo mode,
Yep.
stuck between 3400 and 3500.
Yep. You've been hopping up and down a little, it sounds like. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. That's how it works. First time you touch Masters, then you start, somewhat regularly going between Masters and Diamond, and then you start staying Masters. It's just part of the process.
Yeah. Oh, lastly, one more thing.
Shoot.
Normally when when I position as tracer, I try, like you said, I want to look at a flank.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was looking on is the right window.
Mm-hmm.
But Hanzo was also on that point, so we were basically stacking on top of each other. So
Yep.
I was wondering if there was a better position that I could have been.
Yeah, so the thing that you run into is this is kind of the standard flank route through. If we think about this from an attack perspective, this is the main route, of course. This is the primary flank that we're going to think about in terms of, hey, there's a window here that can lead this way, whatever, gets us effectively over to here or over to here. And then, okay, well, there's got to be 3 lanes. That's how the map is designed. Well, it's broken, but the 3rd lane starts here and goes this way. So it really becomes a question of, does guarding this lane get you enough? And the answer is probably going to mostly be no, right? Like if you're worried, if you can predict that a team is going to rotate into here, yeah, you might go, hey, I'm going to play from over here. I'm going to threaten you. I'm going to give you trouble so that as you try to rotate this way, if you don't answer my damage from here, my Hanzo, my Hog, my Orisa will shoot you in the back here, and I'll shoot you in the front here, or vice versa, to make it so that you can't just have one directional protection. You're not going to like go into them and eliminate them unless your team walks on them, but this is sort of the other option. But you have to ask yourself, are people rotating through here very often? Are solos rotating through here? Is this getting used? You have to ask yourself. Because if this isn't really getting used, you just sort of go, this is the more frequent and the better flank route, and you want your Hanzo to be able to stay here, even when a Tracer, a Ball, a Winston tries to go past this way, a Pharaoh tries to
Okay.
get up over here, that sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's not more like stacking on the Hanzo, it's more like protecting your Hanzo.
Yeah,
If that makes
you'd
sense.
think of
Okay.
it like that, exactly.
Okay, thanks. That's good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Well, I do play pretty rough on this first point, though. I
Okay.
do remember that.
Okay. Okay. So, you go here, do that. You flicked over to him reasonably fast. You want to do your follow-up on him. He's gone. And you know there's a Doomfist there. You know that there's a Mercy there. Excuse me,
Oh,
your Mercy.
actually,
But you do know there's a
missed
Doomfist.
the Doomfist flying in.
You missed the Doomfist flying it? Oh, wow. That's okay. Got it. Because I'm surprised to see you reload here when, the Doomfist is there, effectively. But okay.
But that was a panic blink, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is kind of exactly what we were talking about of, now there's a Doomfist in and you'd be peeling him. But obviously Hanzo got him, so we're good.
And I triple blinked here. That was about this.
It's not great because now you're in this situation, and this is what we were talking about why you could justify holding over here, right? If you'd been holding over here, you'd still have your blinks, and this would be a little tougher for them. And now you're just doomed because you've already wasted recall. Not wasted, but you already got caught effectively against the Doomfist. You now have this. Good.
I got very lucky that Reinhardt didn't swing.
I mean, he did swing once. It's just, yes.
He didn't follow up, basically.
Yes. Okay. Sure, stop shooting. This is what we want. We apply damage to pressure. I probably blink here. Like, I look at this and go, hey, you have 3 blinks. You know exactly where this Anna is. Like, you know 100% where this Anna is, and you should do a blink and then a blink into a turn immediately and be on her. There's just not a good reason to walk through her scoped sight line here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, I can see that.
And yeah, you're gonna have to use another blink pretty quickly because she's gonna try to adjust you when you blink through the doorway. But like that's how it works, unfortunately. Okay, time to leave. Okay. Okay. Okay, got the job done. Missed the sleep, but now you're still done. Okay, so you got a little bit greedy here. That obviously was fine. You spent your recall to get it, but you always expected, like, we're always ready to do that. That's fine. You blink past this, which is good. And then you get hit by this, and this fight is over, and it's just automatic to me that your blink should be a diagonal blink over here, right? Like, I
Yeah,
just...
but I blink into the wall.
Okay, that's... Got it. Like, you have the blinks to get out, but instead you hit the
Blink
wall.
into the wall.
Okay. So you were trying to leave there, not continue the dance. You just,
My mechanical skill
Yep.
fails me.
Back in the fight.
Heroes never die.
I get it. I do.
I wanted to ask you about this, about tracer blinks.
Sure.
You know, there's like 2 different blinks that you can do. You can look, like, to where you want to blink, and then move forward, and then flip back to where you were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just use your keyboard to blink in 8 directions, basically.
Right.
Like, is there a specific reason that you want to use one or the other?
Well, yeah, I mean, crosshair turning does take some amount of time, right? So, like, there is
Mhm.
some degree of crosshair turning in theory is instant because we're using a mouse, and, you know, hey, we're using our mouse. Turning shouldn't really take time. There's no minimum or maximum turn speed in this game. But the reality is acquiring people does take some amount of time, and it can be useful to go, hey, for example, if I want to blink through, let's say you're here, if I want to blink through this Zen, I'm not going to go, okay, blink. Like, and that's sort of the
Yeah.
same thing we get into here, where it's like, hey, I'm going to use this. Usually, when I want to blink, I'm in a greater hurry to blink. Like, I want to blink and then acquire my target very quickly, but usually, I'm in a greater hurry to blink than I am to aim,
Reacquire.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Exactly. Because I'm sort of bleeding my blink till the last instant. I'm judging their crosshair. Are they close to hitting me? Are they about to do damage? Because if I'm not doing that, I'm going to use way too many blinks because I'm constantly going to be, I'm scared, and that we don't really like. So with that in mind, I find the 8 directions is going to get used more often than, okay, well, I'm like this, and where I actually want to blink is right over to there, so let me just turn slightly, and now forward blink and be here. Like, no, you're more likely to use the directional blink options that you have, and then turn in most situations. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, understand.
Okay. Like, yeah, we can look at this one, I suppose. So that's happening. You've basically
fight
got
is
no
lost.
shots here. You
Yeah.
decide I'm going to try to force Zen. Sure.
Objective lost. New defense point.
Wait for me.
Why was my limp body on the floor?
On the floor, you said?
Yeah, in spawn.
Yeah,
What the hell?
replay bug probably. Just like we see Moira orbs staying on the map
Yeah.
sometimes, fire strikes hanging out.
And Diva mix flying in the air.
Pretty
I
much.
remember those.
Okay, so I assume we're gonna look for a pulse bomb here. They don't have any sort of rally we need to cancel. Okay, so obviously a little bit of an issue here. You went here. You
I
decide
tried
that
to
you want
blink, but it didn't click for some
Oh,
reason.
okay. I was like, are you trying to be quiet? What's going on here? Got it. And then you're gonna get caught because of that. And that sort of gets forced because you're rushed taking damage, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's try
fine.
that again.
Crosshair placement?
A little bit. So
Yeah.
here we go. You've got that. That's a wall. That's not where Soldier can appear. He can't do it. And this was the same thing. You started the match just staring at the wall, not the window on Hanamura here. So we've got a little bit to pay attention to here. You go there, whatever. You miss a little, but then we start getting some good damage on him. Pretty good for our one clip there, but obviously we don't turn melee in time here. So you went for your blink. And he's not quite low enough, but... Oh no, he is actually low enough.
He was 16 health, so if I got the 180 right, I would have won the
Exactly.
duel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're 180 melee blink here. But again, you know what you're trying for. You just don't 180 fast enough. So, okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm getting old temporal.
Hey, I feel the same way, man.
Our team somehow cleans this up, so.
Good, good. Oh, wow. Okay, this is probably too much. So you
Too
go
much, okay.
here, and
Uh-huh.
I'm good with going. Truth be told, I'd have looked at this situation and said, hey, this is happening. I'm now at a distance where one blink puts me right on top of him in his neck to do damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's probably what I want to do. You can keep creeping closer if you want, but my concern is this fight is mostly only getting worse for your team. Are you specifically timing this around a couple respawns coming out you engage, or what's causing you to not start this fight yet? You just want to
I
creep
think I was
closer?
hoping Soldier to stop moving.
Okay,
'Cause I think
okay,
that since there isn't much pressure on him, I thought he would move, stand still to focus on his aiming, and then I
sure.
can start the one clip.
Okay.
But he keeps on moving, so I just, yeah.
He does, and he gets himself pretty close to you, and I'm worried that he could turn, Anna could turn. Things could happen, but okay, we get here, and you go for this. Good. Okay, so here we are. You put the damage on him. Fine.
I think
And
what
now
happened there
you just need
was
to leave.
I
Yeah,
blinked
go ahead.
past the Soldier, Anna
Hmm.
looks at the Soldier, and then I blink, and then Anna throws a nade when I'm not there, and then I blink into the nade.
Yep, and that'll happen sometimes. It's
Yeah.
just like, hey, that Tracer's greatest enemy is shots that weren't meant for her, right? So like, no, 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 you can't hit me. Okay. Because again, as Tracer, we're working to dodge people's aim, and that doesn't really work when that happens. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. You were waiting for him to stand still. I see why you were waiting for him to stand still. You get a little bit into, okay, would it have made? Yeah, okay, he's probably a little more one clippable than Anna. You'd have had to walk past him to get to Anna. Okay, I'm good with it. It's a little wavy. Yeah, your aim went a little spaghetti there. It's better. But all of this has been, like, if we look at this whole Zarya battle, like, that's her chest, that's almost her waist, that's like her stomach that we're shooting at. That's
Yeah.
still her
I need
stomach
to
that we're
get
shooting at. That's
need to get higher.
exactly. That's still her stomach that we're effectively shooting at there. And yeah, Overwatch's head hitboxes are a little bit on the generous side. We can just bring this up a little bit. We don't have to fully be aimed at her head because then our spread will betray us a little bit, but we can be aimed, more at like shoulder height, right? We can be pretty
Yeah, at
comfortable
the
with
neck.
that.
I need to work on that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go like that.
I think that's an old habit that came from me when I wasn't really mechanically
Sure,
decent.
absolutely. And it becomes a thing of you wanna try and get to work fixing it because
Yeah.
it's exactly that. It's a habit, and it becomes okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We've had this pulse bomb for a while. I look forward to seeing it used sometime.
I just troll with the Genji for a bit.
That's okay. We'll troll with the Genji. You're easier for your team to support than he is right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I should have pulse bombed before I recalled
You
it.
should have, but that would have required that you consider the ult economy here, right? Like, if you look at this one, you recognize that, hey, I need to pulse bomb, because you recognize you can't pulse bomb anymore because you're taking too much damage from Soldier, and you're just at a level where the Soldier's going to delete you. So if you were going to pulse bomb here, it had to be because they had Transcendence, and that's quite right. It would be right to pulse bomb, but
I don't
that's
think I was able to track that in game. Yeah.
right, right. So that becomes okay, we need to be thinking a little bit more about our pulse bomb in relation to ults. And let's actually talk about that. When is it most important? What are some of pulse bomb's prime uses when it comes to the ult economy?
It's you can basically delete a high value character while
Okay.
also being a very quickly charging ultimate.
Sure,
So,
sure.
mhm.
Um, that's right. I would say I was thinking sort of a little more specifically in terms of like, hey, Pulse Bomb is a good way to delete rallies. Pulse Bomb is a good
Oh
way
yeah.
to go. Hey, you guys have a key ult, or Pulse Bomb is a good way to delay the next fight. Like, hey, we don't have any meaningful ults yet, and they have like 4 ults, so let's go ahead and hit the Pulse Bomb to try to cancel the fight type thing. Like there's times when hitting a pulse bomb is more important than just okay, well I'm just gonna go pulse bomb you guys because I have it. You can do that. You can do that, like go pulse bomb them on their way back, catch them with a pulse bomb right here. But mostly you're looking to do it when your team can then use it to flip the ult economy. Like that's sort of when it's most important. But that's not a big
Mm.
deal. We won't focus on it too hard. hmm Let's see for a moment here. Great. Now we're going out. Sure.
So if I leave and reposition, it was basically a 5v5. So I thought, oh, maybe I can get on the high ground and get the sword round.
Yep. I don't hate this, and that's right.
Smashing.
That shot should never have hit you.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good. You should already
Blink.
be like, but yeah, there
Blink.
should have been a blink, exactly. And then you're
Recall.
exactly recall. I'm glad you see it.
Thankfully, it was enough to wait.
Hmm?
Oh, I love this part.
Ha.
You just way too focused on us and didn't hear the Roadhog coming up.
Oh yeah,
Thought that was pretty funny.
absolutely. Okay, so are you in scouting mode? Are you in charge up your ult mode? Are you in get a pick mode? What is your thought right now?
I wanted to get a one clip on one of the characters, but I think I didn't. I didn't want to try to one clip a Genji at
Sure,
extreme close range.
sure.
And seeing the Zarya, I saw everyone else respawn that was in front of
Got it.
me, so
Got it. So
I
you were
was
fishing
off.
for a pick and you went, nah, it's not here. Yep.
Yeah. And I think Ana hears me here. Actually, she sees me. Oh, yeah, she does see me.
She knows you're here.
Walk it off.
Yeah. Okay. You've got to ward off. Good. You see the shurikens, which is very helpful.
I need help.
Okay.
Where were we?
Okay, so you've generally got the right idea here of, hey, you were trying to finish the Reinhardt because you saw there was an opening there. Then, unfortunately, the soldier's here, and while clearing the soldier would usually be, like, our highest priority, he's just got too much of an advantage on us, having hit us with his healers to start. We're going to try to fight him anyway, and you can't win, yeah. So, we're going to look for a support back here.
Sorry, cat.
Yeah, so you just timed his health wrong there. Not a big deal. We do have to be hyper aware of this when we're fighting. You feel like he should be meleeable here, but this isn't your finishing melee, and this melee
Yeah.
delays your ability to finish him by quite a bit, right? Like the worst thing to do, not the worst thing, but like it's terrible to melee someone with like 35 health, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And that's kind of what we went, aha! Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Right, because now you can't do damage until the melee lockout is over, and you can't do another melee until the melee lockout is over. So, oh well, we get it done. And that was good decision making in terms of you started on your Reinhardt, on their Reinhardt who was vulnerable. The soldier got the jump on you, but then you realized, yes, your job is to ward off the soldier, because as we've talked about, that sort of is one of the big keys to finishing, to unlocking this point is the offense, but then you couldn't. So you shifted over to the supports who were available. And that's going to be enough, I'm sure, to break this push. So I probably don't stay here. Yeah, like, this is a little bit of a long time to be staying here. I don't necessarily hate it, but, like, you're going here
Yeah,
for
yeah, I'm going
this.
all sides of soldier, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of want
you're
you to
right.
get back to soldier, exactly. Because if they get back into this fight, it's due to soldier.
That was just a panic recall,
Yep.
basically.
You got what's coming to ya.
Ooh, I also wanted to ask one more. All the questions I'm having is just popping up as I'm
Good,
watching
good.
content.
Let's do it. What's your question?
You know how often when we want to blink melee, when
Mm-hmm.
a character is at very low health,
Mm-hmm.
but unless it's a target that's very far away from you, if he's at blink melee range,
Mm-hmm.
he's also kind of available to just shoot him in the head. So, are there specific scenarios where using the blink to confirm the kill may not be worth it? Like, what is there some scenarios where it's better to like save the blink and just shoot at him and use it to like dodge something else?
It can be. So what it comes into is locking in the elimination has some value, but what you get into is I actually went pretty in depth into this in one of the trace reviews. I think who was it that I did? I reviewed.
Kevster?
No, not Kevsters, though. I don't think I've looked at Kevsters on this channel.
Hmm.
Let me actually pull it up because there's one where I went a lot into this, and that's probably going to be worth doing. It was a
Suna?
Suna. Yes, it was the
Oh,
Tracers
I think
Suna review. Okay,
I
perfect.
think I saw it
It's
like a year ago. Yeah,
Yep, no problem, no problem. So
but I was also Hanamura. Now that I think about it.
it was. So it applies. So, but what you get into there is if you're doing your melee is going to do 30 damage, and what you're getting for that is, hey, 30 damage can be useful against squishies, it can be useful against other tracers, but it's not really useful when there's healing or a threat of healing involved, unless it's going to finish someone off. You sort of see what I'm saying here? So when it comes to, hey, should I be mixing melees in against some of these things, or should I blink into melee finish? That's what you're asking, right? Should you blink into melee finish or just finish them with your weapon play?
Yes.
Yeah. So what you sort of get into there is it's a very reliable way to do damage, and it does extend your clip. Yes, it's not high enough damage to actually equal the value of your clip, and if someone that's why if someone is getting healing, you're going, hey, my clip is the only thing that works, and my melee will lower my DPS. Like your DPS over time, if you think about that. So we'd go, oh, well, it's just not worth doing. But that's not strictly true because you're not completely interested in your DPS, your damage over time. You're looking to get someone. How do I want to put this? Like it lowers your DPS to get the melee in there, but having that reliable damage, especially reliable damage that you can somewhat consistently slip in there. Sometimes it's going to be when you were going to do the blink anyway,
Hmm?
is going to have value because it's like, oh, I'm doing a blink melee. Well, you're rarely actually doing a blink melee. You're much more often doing a blink 180 melee, or you're doing a blink 90-degree turn melee type thing. You sort of see what I'm
Hmm.
saying, where you're actually using the blink to dodge, and because you're using the blink to dodge, you can fit in a melee, and yes, it's lower DPS than doing the damage and then reloading with your weapon, but you're in a situation where, hey, you actually want to have less reloads, right? Because the more reloads you have, those are sort of vulnerability windows, and you're not doing damage with those. So, like, you get into a situation where if you go for your blink melees, where they fit. Like you don't go, oh, I'm gonna blink, I'm gonna spend my blink offensively to get a melee. It's less about that unless it's a finishing blow, and it's more about, well, I'm gonna blink to dodge you. Well, I'd like to when I finish my blink be sort of in your face, in your neck anyways, not in front of you because then you're gonna shoot me, but I'd sort of like to do that anyways. So since I'm doing that anyways, I can get a melee and it's kind of for free. It's not totally for free because it's less damage than you'd be doing with your clip, but
Hmm.
it's it's reliable. You're not going to miss with it. It can be hard to hit those shots, especially when you're doing, a big 180-degree turn instantly, a big 90-degree turn instantly. It can sort of hide some of your turning time because you can catch them. If you catch someone with the end of the melee, it's just as good as catching them with the beginning of it, right? So it's hiding a little bit of your turning time. It's reliable damage. And you shouldn't really be going, I'm blinking specifically to get this off, and then I'm going to blink again, because then you've used 2 blinks for that, and that's not really what we wanted. It was I'm going to go blink in for the melee, I'll do damage. It might be that you go, let me find an enemy here. It might be that you blink onto... give me a different squishy. Might be that she's got a Harmony Orb, which is exactly what I don't want.
Okay.
Hanzo, great. You might go, hey, Hanzo, I don't like you. I'm going to blink, and I end up here with my blink, and I melee and turn and hit you, and then I'll do some damage, and maybe I get 14 shots off before I feel I need to blink again because you've lined up your shot, and now I blink again, and now I'm over here, and now I'm going to use the rest of my clip or whatever, and then on my next blink, okay, well, as long as it doesn't interrupt and cause me to reload by meleeing, I'm going to go here, boom, hit the melee, and then spend the last 8 shots in my clip or whatever, and that sort of works out. I've hit 2 melees on you, I've spent 1 clip, and I probably was able to take you down in that situation with that available to me. And you see, I wasn't really using the blinks to go, hey, I'm blinking to get melees. I'm hitting the blinks that I want anyways, but I'm opening with the melee there because there's no source of healing involved, and I can sort of I can fit that there. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah,
If
I
it
think so.
Okay. I'm not explaining it quite as precisely and clearly as I'd like. It's a little bit of a complicated topic, but effectively, hey, I'm not blinking just to get the melee in there unless it's to finish them off. I'm blinking for the dodge, but I'm blinking in ways with the dodge to get a little more than just the dodge. And then the melee's worth it because I want to have less reloads. As long as they're not getting healing. If they have a Harmony Orb, just don't even bother with blink melees.
Okay, yeah. I think you said that exactly the soon as well.
Is there yet?
Ouch.
Ouch. I think part of this is mostly because I know 1 blink range.
Yep.
I don't know 2 blink range.
Okay.
So I can't double blink and pulse bomb.
Well,
so
it's just
I
times
need
2, man. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It is just times 2, but like I get it. Okay. So you
I
paused
took
here.
too long to
You did.
reacquire Soldier after the blink, and then the Diva was able to react to it.
Yeah, you are a little slow here with your second blink here. Part of that is because this soldier is far away. If you blinked right now, like he's not at your ideal distance, obviously, for a double blink, you'd have had to 180. You'd have to blink and 180 stick him, which is a little bit more annoying.
Here you go.
Okay.
Just in time.
60 seconds remaining.
Okay. Controlling this.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
I mean, you'd have shot at Genji if he was there, right? So, like, here we are. Deflect is going. I guess not, because Deflect is going.
I'm on my way.
I'm just a little surprised that your crosshair is here rather than, on the hallway. It's not really going to change how you move, but he's deflecting, so that doesn't mean another target isn't going to be behind him, near him, whatever. You scoot forward. This is no man's land. We don't like this. Okay. You heard Shatter go off. Okay. Is your front line fighting their front line? No, so we actually don't want to be here right now.
Yeah, I was way too early here, I think.
Yeah. Like, I get the Shatter dragged you in, but now they're backing out, and you can tell they're backing out, and you're like, aha, I'm fighting you. And, okay, we got elimination, so that's part of why your front line isn't fighting or your back line isn't fighting their front line anymore, but, like, you're also now just really 1v4.
Yeah.
And I really would have just been like, oh, I'm 1v4ing? Nice knowing you. Let me just drop off a building here. Okay, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Hey, we pushed in.
What was that?
Oh, and Blade. Okay.
Yeah. They still want it. They're not going to get it, but they still want it.
10 seconds.
They're almost out of time.
Heroes never die.
They're almost out of time.
You like
I think
this?
this duel was a bit too forced.
It's a bit on the force side. So like I look at this and you're going, I'm gonna hard fight you, and you can hard fight him, I suppose. I definitely am not reloading here. I don't know what this is about. This is actually kind of, we go
10
here,
seconds.
the opportune time for, hey, we're doing this. We hit that. We're not going to be one-clipping him anymore, so let's get ourselves a melee right here, right? We just blinked ourselves into melee range. This is kind of exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If this is a,
And
you
then
know,
I reload.
blink 90-degree melee instead of a reload, and then you'd spend, you know, maybe your next 18 shots and then blink again because he's going to have turned to face you by then. But okay. Okay. You don't really need to open this if he's looking at you. You literally just blink out, blink out, blink out.
Hello
Okay.
there.
Ever get that
I
feeling
need
of
assistance.
deja vu?
Yeah.
Overtime.
And I just
I
don't
messed
really
with my-
care about him out here. Like, do you, like, yes, he doesn't have his heal station anymore, and that's good.
Ever get that feeling
But
of
he's
deja
gonna get the
vu?
mega, and you could beat him, don't get me wrong, but you don't have recall, he doesn't have heal station, he does have helix back. Like, do you want this fight?
No, I don't. I should
Okay.
have maxed up.
Right. Like, this is just greedy. This is just greedy. Okay. Like, you let him have a 1v1 where he had advantage when he should have had to walk into a 1v2 where he didn't. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Round 1.
Okay, so you've had some mechanical betrayals here. We certainly haven't missed some mechanical betrayals. There's a little bit more in terms of just when you're hanging out crosshair placement, though I'm less worried about that. There's a little bit of aiming low, especially when you were dealing with the Zarya there, that we want to pay attention to. Obviously, there's some places we can fit
I've
in
wasted less than most.
some melees, but that's all okay. Let's continue through round 2 here and see how things, what comes to the top of, what comes to the surface of what we want you to work on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Etsuko's eating food.
Okay.
I see the Doomfist and Hanzo, I just know that.
Yeah, so you go here, you see the Doomfist and Hanzo, and you decide to just leave. What did you have before you came in here? Let me just do this one more time.
I had all my abilities.
Yeah, you did. Okay. So it's a little tough. You decide that you can't force your way past here, and you took the uppercut, so you're
Let's
gonna
try
reclaw
that
it.
again.
Okay, fine. What we really want to do is we want to. These guys can't really hold us out because neither of them are mobile enough to hold us out, and we'd really prefer to be staging back here, staging through here, and in a place where they can't deal with us. Now, so this becomes
Okay.
a question of: does it make more sense to go out, which is what you did, or does it make more sense to look at this and go, I can't fight
Go deeper,
Doomfist yet,
basically.
but rather than try to fight them or whatever, how about I just leave immediately, but leave deeper, exactly, so that they're in a situation where you guys can try to chase me 1v2, I suppose, but they're going to have trouble keeping up with you, trouble catching you as your blinks regenerate, that sort of thing. And now you've actually unlocked first a little bit more for your team because, hey, there's concern, there's a tracer over here, all this. I don't need this to be a I strike through window as my team pushes. It's preferable, though that can help, it's preferable to go, I can hit a more steep angle, like from point as my team wants to push, or
Okay.
drag 2 people away from the flank as my team wants to push, that sort of thing.
Routing turret, forward barrier. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Okay. It's fine. Why? So you go here. Did you blink in here because you heard the shatter? Or did you just blink here just cuz?
I think it's the latter.
Okay. I don't really see a great reason to blink here. She's not paying attention to you yet, so we're here, and it's just sort of like, oh, that was a longer rewind than I wanted. But I'm looking at this, and it's like, okay, I can literally just keep walking. Like, I can literally just keep
Yeah.
walking. There's not a ton of reason to spend a blink here, because I don't want these guys then chasing me when I go back here. And I'd like to have more blinks to hang out back here. Cool.
Get healed.
Okay. Take ourselves some high ground. Just support backline things. Yeah, she read you.
Lucio coming at you.
Much better.
Don't be scared. I'll be right there. Reaper here.
This isn't doing anything. So, okay. Congrats, you're distracting a Brig and Anna, and like that can have some value. Is your team pushing right now?
No, I don't think so.
Right, so you're taking a 1v2, and it's a 1v2 that's only mildly distracting to Anna. It's somewhat distracting to her because you will beat Brig if Anna doesn't support Brig, but Anna doesn't have to like full-time support Brig, so it's a limited distraction to the hero that actually needs to pay attention to the front line, and her front line doesn't need her to pay attention to her right now, right?
Yeah.
So
I could have timed this a lot better, yeah.
I'll be
exactly,
right there.
like if it's one thing of like, hey, I'm trying to find my way past, or I'm trying to maybe farm my pulse bomb or something like this, but you're just like, hey, I'm gonna go fight. Well, your team is like literally
Like
just
5
chilling.
seconds away. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and now they're probably gonna end up pushing when you're recovering blinks, finding health packs, all those things.
Time.
Okay, this is better.
This. Taking the point. Mecha X. Taking the point. Mecha X.
At this point, I think I just wanted to push a point because I knew my teammates
Right.
were coming in,
You're
and I
absolutely
wanted to wait for them to come in.
Absolutely. You don't force this fight anymore. You break line of sight, especially so the Hanzo there doesn't put real pressure
I
on
think
you.
my timing is a lot better if I can actually see my teammates.
You can see them through walls though and judge where they are. Like you can look and judge pretty well. It's yes, it requires a little spatial positioning, reasoning, whatever, but you can judge pretty well. Like from here, is your Anna on the other side of choke or is your Anna closer than that? Well, your Anna is definitely closer than that sort of
Yeah,
thing. But,
I need to get that better locked.
Okay.
Etiquette that thing.
Okay.
Almost ready.
Walk it off. Nano boost is ready. Get
Cool.
in there, and I'll
Sorry,
be
Cap.
Okay. You have the tools to beat him.
Objective
Not that
A
it matters, but
captured.
we'll do it. Okay.
New defense point.
Much
Objective
better.
Are you just denying this health pack to somebody, or is
I think
144
it was
too
I
low?
need healing-itis.
Okay. Because most of the time as Tracer, like 145, I think is a breakpoint for something. I'm forgetting exactly what. But most of the time with Tracer, we're not actually really interested. Like if we have 147 health, 149 health, we love that. Do you know why?
So it's oh, because we can steal whole packs.
Exactly, because when we get into a duel with someone, including another tracer, we have the ability to go, hey, I like how this is going. I can get the health back early to deny you getting it, even if you didn't get it. And there's no duel going on right now. There's nothing like that's not what you're doing. So, like, obviously, you don't always get your way and get to have 149, 147, whatever HP because you get things like supports go, oh, let me top you off. But also you get things like Harmony Orbs, which you're happy to have the Harmony Orb, no objection there. But like this is the sort of situation where I go, unless you're worried about like a Pharaoh rocket specifically or something, like it's like I'm pretty good at this HP right now, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Much better.
Nano boost is ready to deploy.
Okay.
Okay, we're trying to unlock this from this side, sure.
Taking the point.
Okay.
I think I didn't know what to do after I went go ahead with the
Mm-hmm.
sticky, so I just stand out in the middle.
Okay. So that's a little bit of a problem. Your decision of I'm yawning today. My apologies. I think your decision to go after the Ana here is a reasonable one. I'd probably look at this team and go, who can you bully? Who's important on this team, and who can you bully on this team? And what I mean by that is like, okay, who's important? Well, Reinhardt is pretty important on their team. He stops you from getting in. Anna's pretty important. She props this team up. Hanzo is relatively important. How do we feel about their Doomfist? Is their Doomfist terribly important?
If our team is pushing on the top rightmost high ground, then yes, I think so.
Yeah, he is. Of the four heroes that I just named, who can you easily put pressure on, easily battle?
Doom and Rhine.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
Actually, not Doom, maybe. Well, if I play like
You're pretty
Hearthstone,
good at
then I
fighting
guess so.
Doom. The problem is he isn't as Anna's sightline, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're pretty good at pressuring Doom, keeping him unhappy, not letting him stage with full health, that sort of thing. And that would be value for our team. That would be unlocking a fair bit. But if we can remove the Anna, obviously with Pulse Bomb, that's even better. So I don't mind this while you have Pulse. I think in general, though, what you want to do is you want to pressure Anna enough to sort of make Brig play with her, and then you want to go on to playing with Doom. You sort of see, like, if you can
Mm.
eliminate Anna, that's great, but I don't want Brig getting the value of being able to play as the brawler she is up here with her
Mhm.
team. Like, I'm like,
Mm.
nope, not okay with that. I'm not going to let you have that. I'm going to make you play down here, and now that you're playing down here, let me go play tag with Doom. And I'm probably not going to eliminate Doom, but now you get no inspire value, you get no bash value, get no whip shot value. The only value you get is I can't bother your Ana anymore. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, cool.
Why is later?
Why is what?
No, it's okay. I think it was an error. There's like a lot of Ana tracer shots.
Oh,
And it looks
got
like
it.
laser tag.
Oh, yes, got it.
Taking the point.
Okay, so that happens, and now you're just sort of like, what do I do? And the reality is, well, Anna hits you with a shot, so you leave, is what you do. But, okay.
Where were we?
Sure. Good. Again, our aim's just a little lower than it needs to be. Like, he's a pretty big hitbox. Obviously, I care less about that when he's above us. Good. Cool. Okay. Why are we still on this ball? So, like, this
Why
happens.
am I still on the ball?
Right? Like, okay, the ball, oh, he gives you a big chance to hit him here. He's a better target than the Tracer in some ways. Sure, I'm good with it. Anna's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, Nano came out. Anna's still right there. Like, okay, there we go. Okay, now it's a little harder. Reaper? Reaper, you're hanging us out to dry? Okay, I see how it is. Okay, this is unfortunately an overpush.
Bad.
Much better.
Yeah, I mean, we might have been able to. We'd have had some more free time before Brig got back on that Ana if we'd just been a little more aware of who was alive of our elimination order, but such is life.
My ultimate is charging.
Okay, I see Brig, so as I was pushing Doom, that's a good instinct, and I'm good with it. But as I did that, I saw that Brig was hanging out with her front line. And I can probably drag her back. I might not 100% be able to do it, but I can probably drag her back.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Okay, works for me. Okay. You blink to chase.
I don't know why I flicked to the left.
Yep.
Probably could have killed the tracer right there.
Oh, you definitely could have, but that's okay. So I
I
look at
think I
this.
realized my hopes was too low, a little too late.
You did. You used a blink when a recall would have been better. Like this happens, and you go, "Oh, I should blink." It's too late. You've already got a recall,
Yeah.
and now you blink, and then recall, which means we have one blink instead of two, which means we really don't have the tools to. I mean, we can still definitely win this. Don't get me wrong, but like this now becomes a much more challenging battle. She leaves. Okay. Cool.
The pain.
She turns to look at you, so you should start shooting at her.
Bombs away.
You're gonna pulse instead. Fine.
Gotcha.
Okay. Doom is definitely your target. I have no desire to mix it up in here.
Yeah. I think since there was a mines, I didn't know if I wanted to go into the Doom. I didn't think. I think he was a lost cause, so maybe I can get something on the
I would
left. But
legit rather just pump damage into D.Va from here than blink into that
Yeah.
shit, right? Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Your favorite health pack.
Back in the fight.
Okay. There's no reason to be out here. This push is long over. Don't
Yeah.
peek bees. Okay, good.
No, just get up, please, Paul.
I mean, you can either. I mean, now you've given yourself away too many times. You could have just hung out
Yeah.
back there, but now you've got to leave.
Nano boost is charging.
Back in the fight.
Dead eyes ready.
Healing enough.
Taking the point.
Okay.
I need assistance.
That's fine.
Nano boost almost
Okay,
ready.
check on your team. Reinhardt's not back yet.
There we go.
Okay, that's a push window. Okay. So, like, I don't love it, but we did just hit a hook there, and we just hit a hook into our team. So now we're thinking, what do we do here? And Doomfist shooting shots at me from there don't hurt. Those shots
Yeah.
don't hurt, and I'm blinking away from them. I just spent a blink to get away, and it hurts my soul a little because, like, this happened. That's clearly a go sign from my team. My Reinhardt is not far away. He'll be entering main, but that's life.
Mhm.
So I want to go in and do something here right now, right? So
Yeah.
with where I am, I can either bait Doomfist into coming to me, which he is unlikely to do at that distance, or I can go find Anna. Those are sort of the things we talked about. So I hope we're going to go find Anna. Instead, we do that. Fight's happening, fight's happening, fight's happening, fight's happening. By the time you're on Anna, your Roadhog is eliminated. So, like,
Yeah.
our timing, this is just not good enough.
Terrible.
Ever get that feeling of deja vu? There we go.
Nano boost is ready to deploy. I need help.
My ultimate dead
60
eyes
seconds.
ready.
Okay,
I'm on my way.
you're taking this route,
I'll
fine
be
with
right
me.
there.
My ultimate's for my
I'm on my
man.
way.
Time to
Group up.
EPM.
Works. Blinked into basically the perfect range. Hit your one clip. We don't love that it's from the direction that she's looking, so obviously we could have potentially gone, hey, I'm going to walk a little bit closer and then do a blink like this. That's an option, but the reality is you were walking through a dangerous place where you were likely to get detected. You were going to take a risk either way, so you loaded your risk on the Anna side as opposed to the travel side. I'll deal.
Sorry, Captain.
Correctly realize your next target is Doom, but why do we double blink here? So we go like this.
Sorry, Cap.
I don't really need to get blink at this Doom, like I can already
Yeah.
be doing damage. Like I'm just looking at this and am I gonna one clip Doom? Doom's too healthy for me to one clip, right? Like as a hero.
Yes.
So I might as well start doing damage. He's also already paying attention in my general direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to already be doing damage, and a forward blink like this is basically a wasted blink. This is a I'm going to increase the damage I do blink, but he's already paying attention to us, and I don't expect to take him down in one clip. We took down their support already. I'm pretty good having held this blink and being like, okay, when this damage starts coming, if he uses a movement in my direction, I'll blink. Whatever. Now you've used 3 abilities where we probably could have gone away with 1.
Yes. And I do that.
Rock time.
Good.
Double
We've
kill.
taken down both supports.
Ah,
Almost.
my...
Get on the attack or
Okay.
it's game over.
Great. Sure. Okay. So, didn't work, and unfortunate that it didn't work. And hey, why did this push not work when you went and got yourself 2 limbs, pretty early in the push here? So let's take a look at why this push didn't work, because this is going to be important. We need to understand this because sometimes, hey, your team just loses fights because as you're solving the fight, the opponent's someone on the other team is solving it even faster. You do this. And I don't think we can really object to your timing here. You aren't going in here too late, right? Like this is, hey, basically right as the fight is starting, the opponents are adequately distracted and they don't heavy duty peel you, but you haven't lost people yet either. None of your teammates are in positions where they just lose. So unfortunately, this one is more a situation of, hey, you got good value. You're able to stick another one. Unfortunately, they got your Lucio right before he could beat. And that's just going to be life, where they're unfortunately going to have a little bit of hold because of that. And then this just becomes a, hey, could we eliminate something faster? And we don't quite get this one. So yeah, this one just sucks, and you got 2
30
CP'd.
seconds.
Get on the attack or it's game over.
I mean, obviously, this isn't a situation where there's nothing you could have done better. Like, yes, we can talk about things you could have done better, and we did talk some about those. But, like, what we're really looking at here for this specific team fight is, was your engagement timing good? And was your target, was your engagement timing good? Was your angle good? And was your decision good? And the answer to most of those in terms of was your engagement timing good is yes. Was your target selection good? Yes, and it was a good target to go with. And was your engagement direction good? And yeah, your engagement direction was good. I think, this is in a lot of ways better in a lot of situations, but you've just been here 3 times, so coming through this way was absolutely appropriate, and the only 50-50 decision was, do you blink to end up here or do you blink to end up here? And they both carry risks. We'll deal with it. So this was a good push from you. I don't really have an issue. Just kill the ball next time. No, I'm kidding. Don't waste 3 abilities when one will do against the Doomfist. That's a
Yes.
little more serious, but hey.
Remaining.
Yes, of course.
I require assistance.
Okay.
Victory.
2 CP'd.
2 CP'd is right, unfortunately. So we went through this, and obviously I can go through this and be like, hey, here are the major conclusions that are going to work for you, but that's
Mhm.
less helpful than if you can do it. So I'm going to have you try for it first. If you don't see them, or you're like, hey, I didn't really get them, we felt pretty scattered, or hey, it felt like maybe a little of this, a little of that, but I'm not really sure what to hone in on, that's fine. I will guide you back. I won't let you go wrong with this session effectively. But I do want to sort of let you sort of formulate it because it sticks in your head better if you do it.
Of
So
course, of course.
take a
I
shot if
just
you
need to
would.
get my mark.
Sure.
Where's my pen? Where's my magic pen? Well, let's use on the magic pen then. Okay, so I think the first one that I think I noticed is what was the word?
You don't have to use my words. You can use your own.
Uh, okay, let's think, Paul, think. Oh, knowing when to force duels, I guess, or when
Okay.
to how to utilize your abilities more efficiently.
Those feel like two different things, but go ahead, give me a little more on them, or on which, if those
So
are the same thing, flush it out more for me, or
I
give me
think
more
it's
details.
coming from the one time I tried to force the duel on the soldier,
Okay.
and the one time I tried to get closer to Doomfist and ended up wasting of way too many abilities on it.
Right, right. Okay, so what determines when it's a good time to push someone versus let them go, or when it's a good time to poke at someone while you're closing at them versus blink at them?
Uh, if they are aggro at me, if I have abilities, and if they have abilities, I guess. Or I guess more generally is who has the bigger advantage.
Mm-hmm. So who has the bigger advantage is good.
I'm I'm becoming small brained right now.
It's okay. It's okay. It's totally fine. So who has the bigger advantage is good. I mean, you're gonna take some even fights, and like you might use a blink to blink at a soldier when you're both full health and have full abilities, but you're generally gonna do that when they're not paying attention to you, or because your team's timing just outright demands it, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Did your
Oh, so
team's timing demand that you blinked at that Doomfist, for example?
no, not necessarily.
Right, you already had him distracted, you could apply pressure, that sort of thing. And
Hmm.
same thing with the soldier. The soldier had already left, and what would be great to finish him, we weren't really in a stagger pushing phase with our team. We were still in a win the team fight phase, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So can we maybe I just want you to try to simplify that a little bit more because I think there's something there for those concepts, but I want you to try to simplify that into a way where it can sort of stick in your head and be something that you can think about while playing the game. Because if it's like 5 sentences, it won't stick for you. But if we can just bring that down to like one or two, and if we have to break it into multiple ideas, that's fine. But do you think you have another way you can phrase that?
Uh, when to hard engage and when to not. Does that make sense?
I mean, when to hard engage and when to not. Sure, we can make that a concept because I think that's still very important for you because some of your timings were good and some weren't. So yeah, we can go like that. I generally think of the hard engage sort of as the start of the fight or the start of getting serious, I suppose. Um, which we could definitely go to. So okay,
Mm.
how do I want to frame this? Okay, so when to hard
I think
engage
you
and
can
when to
hear
not.
the gears turning in my brain.
That's good. That's good. We want you turning and we want you working through it and we want you working through it now, where I can help as opposed to in the
Hmm.
future where it didn't really stick, where it doesn't really stick. So when to hard engage and when to not. Okay, so what gives us again like what are a couple key indicators of whether we can or should hard engage versus shouldn't?
I think it's uh other than the advantage I was talking about, I think like what you said, is your team engaging or is the team engaged timing correct, I
Mhm.
assume?
Mhm.
So like you said with the Diva example, like if he's hooking into him, then I should be on the Ana,
Right.
on someone who can support her.
Mhm.
So I think timing or when your team engages has a lot to do with it.
I think timing would probably be your single biggest area for improvement. Like you should have been on this Anna when this got hooked. You should have not been pressing this Brig when your team was just chilling back here. Those are just a couple examples. There's more, and I pointed out a couple more, but like there's enough of these that we sort of look at this and go, that's probably your biggest thing. And yeah, we can call that engagement timing and say, hey, we want our engagement timing, we want to be a distraction, either going for eliminations or being a distraction. We want that to happen. We want to make our play right right as or just before, but generally right as our team is making its play. And if I have to err where I'm a second behind my team or a second ahead of my team, I'd rather be a second behind my team in most of these situations. So does that make sense? It's sort of just like a little bit more attention paid, especially when you're staging, when you're just sort of back here behind walls where you've kind of got infinite time back here. You're not really in danger, or just a little bit more, hey, let me look at my team, see how they're doing through walls. Let me look at my team, see how they're doing through walls for sort of starting the fight. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. I just wrote it down on my board. Is
Sure.
it seem to say timing, sync, distraction, or sync, distraction or eliminations when my team engages, and be late rather than early.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think that's a great way to think about it, and I think that's what we want to do for sort of your first major concept to work on. I think your second major concept is going to be a little bit more around sort of in the mid fight. Do you need to force these duels, or can you leave type stuff? Like, do you need to keep someone distracted, or do you need to force it? And I am going to consider that a bit different, but that is going to be the soldier and the Doomfist type thing we're looking at, where we're thinking about this and we're going, hey, I don't need to rush this. Like, I don't need to rush this fight. I don't need to force this fight when I'm already doing it. Do I want to phrase something around that, or do I want to just sort of break those into two separate ideas because I could handle those differently? Um, so after we, I mean, I'd really sort of put this in the after we've gotten our elimination. It sort of becomes a don't be greedy when you're ahead type thing. And sometimes you want to be
Mm.
greedy when you're ahead. Don't get me wrong. Like sometimes you go for staggers. That's a real thing, obviously. And hey, if you're ahead, you can do it. But we don't need to. We would prefer in Overwatch, especially when we're a dive hero, which is what Tracer is. Dive heroes are mostly designed where they have sort of a burst of ability power. Tracer's a little special in that she's split up her blinks into multiple cooldowns like that, and that makes her able to
Mhm.
sustain better. But mostly, if there's 5 of you alive and 3 of the opponents alive, let's say there's 5 of you alive and 4 of the opponents alive. As time passes, which team gets stronger?
Uh, the enemy because they have quicker respawns.
So in this particular case on 2CP, that's probably true, yes. But if we factor out respawns as time passes between a 5 person team and a 4 person team, which team gets stronger?
5-person team
Why?
because we have a person advantage.
Right, you have a person advantage, and what does the person advantage do for you? What are some things that accomplishes? Tough question. Sorry. Let me sort of answer that because I'm going to reframe it. So one thing that obviously does is you guys are just going to apply more. We'll generically call it pressure because that 5th person is going to be
Okay.
doing more damage, more healing. It's potentially an extra angle that the enemies have to think about getting shot at from. But also it's an extra set of cooldowns ticking. Right? It's an extra set of
Yeah.
amp, cooldown coming back, an extra set of Ananade coming back. So like it regains, so like the total amount of resources that your team has comes back more resources replenished per second for the team with 5 than the team with 4. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what we're getting into is when you get ahead, I don't necessarily want you after your team. If your team just got ahead, it probably spent resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I probably don't then need you to force another elimination unless it's right there to be had. I don't need you to spend a bunch of resources while your team is recovering resources unless the elimination is there for the taking if your team has more. On the flip side, if your team has less than them, their team probably just spent resources to get an elimination, and that's when they're going to be most vulnerable to you taking them down, to you taking someone down because they're empty. Even if you're empty too, they're going to be more vulnerable than they normally would be, and that becomes a hey, I got to go for this. Do you sort of understand the waxing and waning there I'm talking about? Of if you're up, you can afford to slow it down. If you're down, you sort of need to push back because hey, it's only going to get worse for you.
Okay. I think that's wow. I never thought of that before. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, no
Like,
problem.
I mean, mostly when you get when you're a man down, you think we need to regroup, but
Well,
I never thought of that differently.
there's other ways to think about it, right? Like you could also fall into a defensive concave and go for position advantage if you were a man
Mm.
down and make them try to push you because they want to push you while they have man advantage to try to take you out. And you could go, well, okay, if you want to push us, you're going to have to push into our concave. But can you really set up a defensive concave in this situation? Well, you sort of could. Like when Doomfist is on point, okay, that's going to be a little tough for us. That could be tough, but like mostly we're going to struggle to fall back into a defensive concave on this point in this type of situation. So there's definitely different ways to think about it, and you've got to eventually get mentally flexible enough to decide which to do when. If you're down one, you might retreat, but you're in, you spend some time in Masters here. We're trying to solidify that, lock that in full time. But
Yeah.
you're in a situation now where if you guys are fighting here, I mean, it happened, right? Like, your guys, you lost your Reinhardt, your team lost your Reinhardt, and your team went, well, we're not walking back to go get our Reinhardt or even waiting here for our Reinhardt. They went in here and Hog made his hook, and your team started their push while Reinhardt was still a couple seconds from being back. You remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that just happens now. That's just going to happen at this level where it's like, no, we're not giving up the space. We fought too hard to get the space. We don't care that we're down one. If you push us, you're pushing into our defensive advantage. We're good with that. And we're going to yoink this guy in and start this fight. And Reinhardt will be with us in a second or two. And we're just going to deal with that. Would it have been better if he found the hook 2 seconds later? Yes, it would be. But you know what? He found the hook when he found the hook. And it was a reasonable enough time to start it. So okay, that's what we're going with. So given that teams don't just go, hey, we're down one, we're going to reset, we're all going to jump off the edge, whatever, you have to decide, okay, how do I take what do I do as the fight evolves? As I go up in people, I can potentially actually afford to slow down the fight unless, stuff is just there to take, which is fantastic. Let's take it. Or if we go down in people, if we're still in this fight, if we're not all just immediately jumping off the edge, I kind of need to go hard to take someone out. Does that make sense to you?
Um, okay, I think it does, yeah.
Okay.
I think I can wrap my
Totally
head around it.
totally fine. It's a bit of a complicated concept. It was the way that I could tie these two together in a way to be a helpful point for you because I
Hmm.
don't want to see you using 3 abilities on this Doomfist when your
Yes.
team is already winning and now you're sort of like, okay, now I'm weak, whatever, and it's just sort of like that's silly. And I also don't want you pushing out because like, hey, you're pushing out into this soldier when your team already has a Hanzo raining on the point. Your team is like, this soldier has to solve your Hanzo raining on the point. You don't have to solve this soldier. You just need to keep your Hanzo raining on the point, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Complicated concept. Didn't want to go, maybe we made it a little too complicated, but effectively, hey, we can break this as get your engagement timing right, and then the simplified version of this would be more careful with your ability usage when it comes to there's just no reason to blink at someone that's already paying attention to you unless you
Mm.
have a bunch of people focusing them, and then hey, why are we again, no need to blink at the soldier who's retreating. So like more careful ability use, I guess, would be the other simple way to put that. I'm just trying to give you a frame to work around that in of like how we're getting there. And I probably made the frame too complicated, so more careful ability use is probably the easier way to think about that, just as a hey, do I really need to push this? Do I really need to push this with abilities, or should I just be doing poke damage, that sort of thing, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I've been taking notes the entire time, so give me
That's
a
fine.
second. I just need to write
Totally
this
fine.
down.
Totally fine. I unleashed a Pandora's box of a concept for you there, and it's
Yes.
not even a 100% concept there, um, because like I said, other times you'll fall into defensive concaves when you go down. But hey,
Careful usage for engagement. Okay, I think I got that all down.
okay. Um, and then the last thing I'm going to say, put on your list, because I've got really effectively got 3 things here, because, we had our giant Pandora's box, which we're just going to, close the box back up and pretend everything's
Yes.
still in there for a second. It'll be great. What we're actually going to do for your third topic is going to be, I do still want you to work on that crosshair placement a bit. It's
Yes.
good that, hey, you're pretty good at actually flicking it over to the Genji when he shows up, to the Doomfist when they show up, but I'd like you to put it at the window, put it at the opening, not rest it on the wall near the opening. Like put it actually at the opening because that's where people are actually going to show up. And then I want you to bring it up a little more. And this is the more important of the 2 pieces of your crosshair
To the
placement,
neck.
I'd say. Exactly. Bring it up a bit more to the neck. It's just a habit. You've just got to train it.
Yes, of course. Thanks. Okay. And I think that I got that all down.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Then any other questions, concerns, comments, things that you're thinking about coming out of this one? That maybe makes sense, maybe don't. Anything else you want to get into?
I don't think I have anything related to this game anymore.
Okay.
If I understood the Pandora box correctly, then
Sure.
yes.
That's fine. And again, you can message me about that one. That one's complicated, but effectively, uh, I wouldn't really think too hard about that one. I was really trying to
Okay.
find a way to tie it effectively together there. And the concept is right. Don't get me wrong. Like it's something you should understand, especially for team play. But it, like what the Pandora's box is really is, hey, when a team is, when you've just lost someone, when you just went down in a fight, it's generally that's when you want to push back because that's going to be your only chance to get someone back. And if you don't push back right then, you better fall into a defensive concave. That would probably be the more useful macro way for you to carry that out. That applies a little less to this game. Ultimately, it's better just to think about what we can from this game as, hey, let's consider our ability use a little bit more precisely, especially when we're ahead. Cool.
Yeah, I got that.
Good. Good. Then I'll go ahead and